Introduction to European arrival. The dawn of the 16th century marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Americas as European explorers set sail in search of new trade routes, wealth, and conquest. Among them, Christopher Columbus's accidental encounter with the Caribbean islands in 1492 opened the floodgates to a wave of European exploration and colonization that would forever alter the course of history. The arrival of Columbus signaled the beginning of an era characterized by the collision of worlds, the Old World of Europe and the New World of the Americas. Columbus's expedition, sponsored by the Spanish crown, was motivated by a desire to find a western sea route to Asia, bypassing the Ottoman Empire's dominance of trade routes through the Mediterranean. Instead, he stumbled upon a series of islands in the Caribbean, which he initially believed to be the East Indies. This serendipitous encounter ignited a wave of exploration as European powers scrambled to stake their claims in the uncharted territories across the Atlantic. Subsequent European explorers, inspired by tales of Columbus's discovery and driven by a mix of curiosity, religious zeal, and the quest for wealth, embarked on their own voyages of discovery. Names like Hernán Cortés, who conquered the Aztec Empire, and Francisco Pizarro, who toppled the Inca Empire, became synonymous with the age of exploration and conquest. These explorers, backed by the financial and political support of European monarchs, ventured further into the Americas, seeking to expand their empires and exploit the untapped resources of the New World. The arrival of European explorers heralded a new chapter in the history of the Americas, characterized by contact, conquest, and colonization. It marked the beginning of a tumultuous era of interactions between European colonizers and indigenous peoples, characterized by cultural exchanges, conflicts, and transformations. European arrival in the Americas set in motion a series of events that would reshape the destinies of both continents, leaving a profound and enduring impact on the cultures, societies, and landscapes of the Americas. As we embark on our exploration of the impact of European arrival on the Americas, it is essential to recognize the significance of this moment in history. The encounter between Europe and the Americas marked the convergence of diverse peoples, cultures, and civilizations, setting off a chain reaction of events that would reverberate through the centuries. By understanding the context and motivations behind European exploration and colonization, we gain insight into the complexities of this transformative period and its far-reaching consequences for the indigenous peoples of the Americas. The collision of worlds, consequences of European contact. The arrival of Europeans in the Americas initiated a profound collision of worlds, bringing together cultures, ecosystems, and peoples that had evolved separately for millennia. This collision had far-reaching consequences that reverberated across both continents, profoundly altering the course of history and shaping the destinies of indigenous peoples and European colonizers alike. One of the most immediate and devastating consequences of European contact was the introduction of new diseases to which indigenous populations had little to no immunity. Diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza, brought by European explorers and settlers, spread rapidly through indigenous communities, causing widespread illness, death, and societal upheaval. The impact of these diseases was catastrophic, leading to staggering declines in indigenous populations and leaving behind a legacy of demographic collapse that would shape the Americas for centuries to come. The demographic catastrophe unleashed by disease profoundly altered the social, economic, and political landscapes of the Americas. Entire communities were decimated, leaving behind depopulated villages, abandoned farmland, and disrupted social networks. Traditional power structures were destabilized as leadership roles were left vacant and existing hierarchies were thrown into disarray. The loss of skilled laborers and knowledge holders further weakened indigenous societies, making them more vulnerable to exploitation and domination by European colonizers. In addition to the devastating toll of disease, European contact brought about a wave of conflict and violence as European colonizers sought to assert control over indigenous lands, resources, and peoples. In many cases, European conquest was characterized by brutal military campaigns, massacres, and forced displacement of indigenous populations. European settlers, driven by a mix of greed, religious zeal, and a sense of racial superiority, viewed indigenous peoples as obstacles to be overcome in their quest for wealth, power, and territorial expansion. The clash between European colonizers and indigenous peoples gave rise to a series of devastating wars, battles, and armed conflicts that ravaged the Americas for centuries. Indigenous resistance movements, fueled by a fierce determination to defend their lands, cultures, and ways of life, waged desperate struggles against overwhelming odds. However, European military superiority, combined with the devastating impact of disease, often tipped the balance in favor of the colonizers, leading to the subjugation and displacement of indigenous peoples across the Americas. The consequences of European contact were not limited to demographic collapse and armed conflict. They also encompassed profound transformations in indigenous societies, cultures, and belief systems. The disruption caused by European colonization led to profound social and economic changes as indigenous peoples were forced to adapt to new circumstances and navigate the challenges of living under colonial rule. Traditional subsistence patterns were disrupted as indigenous economies became increasingly integrated into global networks of trade and commerce dominated by European powers. Moreover, European contact brought about a profound cultural encounter between Old World and New World civilizations, leading to the exchange of ideas, technologies, and belief systems that transformed both sides. European missionaries sought to convert indigenous populations to Christianity, often through coercion or force, leading to the suppression of indigenous religions and spiritual practices. This process of religious conversion, coupled with the imposition of European languages, laws, and customs, laid the groundwork for the erosion of indigenous cultures and identities. In conclusion, the consequences of European contact in the Americas were profound and far-reaching, reshaping the social, economic, and political landscapes of both continents. The collision of worlds unleashed a cascade of disease, conflict, and cultural transformation that irrevocably altered the course of history and left behind a legacy of devastation and resilience that continues to shape the Americas to this day. By understanding the consequences of European contact, we gain insight into the complexities of intercultural interactions and the enduring impact of colonialism on indigenous peoples and societies.